I will never be able to understand what it is that people of color go through. Never. I'm married to a Hispanic woman. My wife Sylvia is here, and she tells me all the time, you just don't understand. And I don't. There's no possible way for me to understand what that feels like, what that looks like, and what you're experiencing on a regular basis. There's just no way for me to do it. It's impossible. But what I can do is what I want to do is I want to share you my story. What's happened to me as a result of incarceration, drug addiction, and the system that they're talking about in this documentary. I grew up in a single parent home, just like most of you. I didn't have no dad. My mother was an active alcoholic who died when I was 19 years old. I had no type of direction. I had no type of discipline. I had no type of nurturing, culturing, none of that stuff. To be quite honest with you, I was buck wild from the gate. From a very, very young age, I started using drugs. I got tied up with some older kids. A lot of that involved criminal activity. I only knew how to do what I was doing because I didn't have anybody in my life that was giving me any type of direction, that was giving me any type of hope, any type of counsel, any guidance. I didn't have any of that stuff. I had some older guys in the neighborhood who had some back arms, you know what I mean? Buttoned up their collars all the way to the top. And they had something that I wanted. They were respected. People were afraid of them. The girls liked them. They had cars. They had money. And I know you guys are seeing those guys in your neighborhoods too. They're saying, ain't nothing changed. History repeats itself. This is all the stuff that we're getting exposed to. There's a possibility that I had the opportunity that you guys had today. You know, some type of mentorship program, some type of big brother program or something like that. Obviously, I wasn't looking for that. You know, I was looking for acceptance. You know, I was looking for, to be a part of. And I didn't have that type of an influence in my life. So ending up in jail is very easy to do, especially for people of color. I was institutionalized from a very young age. Reform schools, juvenile halls, county jails, and then state prisons. Almost 20 years in and out of the California state prison system. My wife will pass her phone around and she'll let you see my last prison booking picture. It was in 2006, a little over 10 years ago. What I mean about how easy it is to end up in jail is that being in the wrong place at the wrong time, grab a couple 12-packs and run out, you know, you end up in jail. Really easy. Damon mentioned something about plea bargains. You know what I mean? That plea bargain thing. And I was a victim to that my whole life. Like, okay, so I'd get caught up doing something stupid, and they'd say, look, we'll let you out right now, man, it's just plead guilty. Plead guilty to this little crime, it's okay, it's fine. But what ended up happening was, that's a felony conviction, or that's a misdemeanor conviction. So the next time you go back, now you got a history. And they start to build this case against you. And next thing you know, you got 2 or 3, 4, 5 misdemeanor convictions. And then next thing you know, this what would be a misdemeanor now turns into a felony because you got a history. There's absolutely nothing on this planet that will hold you back from the things that you want to do from this point forward other than yourself. Find something that you really like to do and find out if you can make money doing it. You know what I mean? I was talking to one of my friends last night, and we were talking about, you know, it's Friday. And you know my response is, there are no Fridays when you're on a quest for success. No such thing as Friday. There's no such thing as days off. I don't need days off. It's supposed to be, like I have a couple of different jobs. I own a couple of different businesses today. I've not been able to do a lot in the last 10 years. A lot. That's because I've applied that same tenacity that I applied to doing that stupid stuff to doing something positive with my life. You know what I mean? And I've been rewarded for that. But it doesn't come easy. You know what I mean? They say, there's this TV commercial out there, I think it's American Homes Insurance or something like that. The American dream is out there. So put on your work boots, make a pot of coffee, because there's going to be some long nights. It takes effort, it takes work, it takes commitment, it takes dedication. If you want it, you know what I mean? If you want it, it's out there for you. My story is what my story is. You know what I mean? I can't change that. I can't rearrange that. But what I can do is I can use that to teach other people, to give them an opportunity to learn like what not to do and what you are capable of. I can be a positive influence in somebody else's life. Just because I didn't have that doesn't mean I can't be that. What happened was I came to one day and I said, I can't live like this anymore. I didn't know how to do anything other than what I'd been doing. We know which was doing drugs and going to jail. You know, I knew how to do that really well. I suffer from the disease of addiction, and it tells me that I'm less than. It tells me that I'm unworthy. It tells me that I'm inadequate. It still tells me that stuff today, and I got almost 10 years clean. The prison system, the jail system, the judicial system, the courts, the probation officers, the parole officers, they all kept telling me, you're never going to make it. You're never going to do anything other than just come back. You know what I mean? We'll see you next time. We'll leave the light on. It was like Motel 6 at the county jail for me. We'll leave the light on for you. And I began to believe that I belonged in there. The truth of the matter is that the first time that I went to prison, the first time they sentenced me to prison, I went to prison for a 16-ounce can of beer. They gave me a 2-year prison sentence for a 16-ounce can of beer. I got out on parole. 2 months later, 1-year parole violation. Once you catch a parole violation, they tack another year of parole onto your parole. So now you got 4 years of parole. Get out from that year of parole violation, I'm out a couple months, catch another 1-year parole violation. Do that 1-year parole violation, out for a couple months, catch another 1-year parole violation. Out a couple months after that, catch another 1-year parole violation. 6 years on a 2-year sentence. It's like they have an agenda. It's like they set out to do this. There's a huge financial slant to it. In the picture that Sylvia passed around on the phone, you'll see that in that picture, I'm holding this little sign. It's got my last prison number on it. And it says a date on there. I think it was August 6, 2006. But there's also 3 letters on it. It says CCF. That is California Correctional Facility. It's a private-owned prison. It talks about them later on in the documentary. I highly suggest that you watch the rest of the documentary because it talks about the privatized prison system and what that looks like as far as what the money that they're making. And Caleb, you mentioned how the number keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing. Every 10 years, it almost doubles. So we're going to look at the people that are just incarcerated. 2.46 million people. If you include the people that are on probation or parole, you're talking about 7 million. 6 to 7 million people that are answering to somebody for their freedom. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the majority of those people are not violent criminals. I am not going to sit here and tell you that people don't belong in jail because I've been in jail, spent a lot of time in jail. There are a lot of people that belong there. They do. There's a lot of people that belong. I even belong there at some points in time. You know what I mean? I used to think, they're out to get me, man. The parole officer don't like me. The cops, they don't like me. I was in the neighborhood running around doing stupid stuff. No, John, you were a criminal. You were breaking the law. Your parole officer locked you up because you were breaking the law. I had to learn how to take responsibility for my actions, and that's a big part of my story and a big part of who I am today and why I do what I do. I kind of kicked this thing off a little bit too soon, man, and what I wanted to do really is I wanted to thank you for coming out and allowing me to share my experience with you and hopefully give you a little bit of education and a little bit of a slant on something that's a little bit different. I want to thank Damon for his efforts and the commitment that he has made to these kids and these families. I was here last month and I listened to some of the speakers come in and they talked to you guys about some really powerful stuff, man. And Caleb really hit that entrepreneur stuff and that's a powerful thing, man. And just giving me the opportunity to share with you what I've experienced, is extremely valuable to me, man, that I could come here and serve you today. We have the potential and the opportunity to learn from other people's mistakes. I wasn't really good at that, but we do have the opportunity to do that. You know what I mean? We talk about modeling people. You know what I mean? Find some people and we talked about it last month, find some people that are doing what you want to do and follow suit with them. And I'll tell you how I've learned, how I've really activated that in my own life. Is like when I was young, I had those guys with their shirts all buttoned up, back arms and some tattoos and stuff, and I emulated what they did and I got what they had. When the day came that I could no longer live like that, I had to find some people that were doing something different also. And I took all of that energy that I used to focus into that negative stuff, and I tried it, and I turned it 180, and I started focusing into something different. And I have a lot of friends that are clean, that have been clean for a lot longer than I have been clean, and they always told me, John, if you just focused 1/10 of the energy that you focus into doing that other stuff into something good, you are unstoppable. Today, I understand that to be true because I am unstoppable. I have a relentless commitment to make a difference in the world, and that's why I'm here today. So I want to talk about a little bit about my experience in jail and prison and incarceration. We talked a little bit about the plea bargaining situation and just wanting to get out and then building the case. And heaven forbid, like you end up caught up. You make some bad decisions and you end up caught up. And what happens once you get there? Well, I'm going to tell you, it is a whole different world in there. You know, we talked a lot about racism. We talked a lot about that stuff in the documentary. And I need to tell you that is heavily, heavily influenced in jail and in prisons. They encourage it. They feed it. They create it, and they want it to happen. Back in the day, it was us against them. Us being me, them being law enforcement. Today, they have created this system where it's us against each other based on race. They put you into this place where, and your own people are saying, like, you can't talk to them, you can't eat food with them, you can't play basketball with them, you can't smoke with them, you can't do anything with them, or you get beat up. They force you into this place and this mentality and this belief system that says you're different than them and you can't be a part of that. And then what happens after any length of period of time is you, just like anything else, you start believing that stuff. And then I came back out into the free world like believing that stuff with this bad belief system that I'm really, really grateful that I don't believe anymore. You know, but that's what happens, and they influence that stuff and they encourage that stuff and they kind of make it that way. What do they want? They want me fighting with you so I'm not fighting them. It's the system. That's the way it works. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but that's the way they do it. You know what I mean? And I won't say that they don't care. I just think that this is how they operate. You know, I'd hate to believe that our society and our system is malicious. You know, our politicians and the people that are running the show or calling the shots or whatever that may be are malicious. But I struggle finding any other solution to that. Like, why would our politicians get up there and they talked about, first it was the war on crime, and then it was a war on drugs, and then it was a lock 'em up frenzy. And it's like, I have friends that are in prison still today doing 25 to life for traffic violations. My friend Les was one of the first people sentenced in California under the 3 strikes law, got 27 years to life for a traffic violation. It's 27 years to life because the traffic violation brought a 2-year sentence. On top of that was the 25 years to life. Because he got pulled over by the police and evaded the police. And in the process of evading the police, he committed 3 traffic violations. Speeding, ran a stoplight, and ran a red light. Once you commit 3 different traffic violations, it becomes a felony. That felony was his 3rd strike, 27 years to life on traffic violations. It's sad. You know what I mean? It's sad that this is what it's come to, and this is what we're susceptible to at any point in time. You know, and what I heard Damon talk about a little earlier was, don't make bad decisions. Don't end up in my shoes. Don't end up in jail. But I'm here to tell you, man, like, it can happen. And like I started this thing off, I have no idea what that feels like. I have no idea what that experience is like. I mean, I was targeted to some degree because of where I grew up. Like, all the law enforcement knew me. I was a drug addict. I was completely comfortable in jail. I was institutionalized, like I said earlier. I just got really comfortable there. And then that day came when I said, like, I can't keep doing this. I got to do something different. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to follow the footprints of the people that went before me, and I surrounded myself with some people that were doing something different. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of self-help stuff, and I'm an avid fan of Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins talks about modeling. You know, we model the people that have come before us. You know, and I talk about, you know, we're human beings, we have this capability to learn from other people's mistakes. Well, we can also learn from other people's success. So find some people that are doing what you want to do and ask them how they did it. They're more than willing to give you some tips. They're more than willing to introduce you to some people. They're more than willing to give you some opportunities. Most people want to help. So we model those people. You know, and that's what I had to do when I decided I wanted to do something different. But what has really helped me more than anything else is I have 3 philosophies that I work around. And that's passion, purpose, and perseverance. Whatever that is, maybe it's music, maybe it's writing, maybe it's riding motorcycles, maybe it's working on cars, maybe it's, I don't know what it is, you know what I mean? And maybe you don't even have anything like that right now, and that's fine. So find something. Find something that you truly do. Find your passion. Find your passion. Purpose is multifaceted. Purpose is, there's a calling on my life. I know today that the calling on my life is to help people. This is all about helping people. It's a calling on my life. It's not something I chose to do. It's not something I wanted to do. I actually ran away from this stuff for about a decade, and it kept reeling me back in. No, John, you need to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to build houses. No, John, you got to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to build houses. I did that several times, and then it just kept coming back. It just kept coming back to me. Opportunities kept coming back. Opportunities kept coming back. No, John, you're supposed to be working with drug addicts. You're supposed to be teaching people how to stay clean. You're supposed to be speaking to people. You're supposed to be teaching. You're supposed to be doing these things, because I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. But I was in this spiritual leadership class one day, and Dr. Lynn Cirillo was teaching this class, and her husband was actually one of my mentors. And she said this statement that really changed me. And she said, your burden is linked to your calling. So I pigeonholed Lynn after class, and I asked her, what did you mean by that? And she said, John, you know, it's kind of self-explanatory. I said, yeah, okay, but can you just kind of give me a little bit more from that? And she's all, okay, I will do that. She said, what is your burden? And I said, the disease of addiction is my burden. I've been in active addiction for over 30 years. My entire family is addicts and alcoholics. My mother died from alcoholism when I was 19 years old. She looked at me with a little sparkle in her eye, and she said, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? That was the tipping point for me. That's when I knew that there was a calling on my life, and I needed to help people. And that calling has grown since that time. It's grown immensely. It's no longer just about active addicts or people that are suffering from the disease of addiction. It's about people, because we all got stuff, and we carry that stuff with us. We live our lives through the perception of our own experiences, and we get stuck in the less than, and I'm not enough, and I'm inadequate. I go to work every day and I hate my job. I'm not good, you know what I mean? A relationship way past the expiration date. We all got stuff, and we get stuck. My goal is to knock you out of that rut, teach you how to do something different, I'll give you some ideas, and help you fulfill your true potential. The kids in this room, the young ladies and young gentlemen in this room, the fact that you're in this room tells me you're destined for greatness. If you're willing to give up your Saturday, even one Saturday a month, to be a part of this thing, tells me there's something inside of you that is destined for greatness. Please don't snuff that out. Fan that flame. You have your whole lives ahead of you. There's so much in front of you. You're surrounded by some people that are committed and dedicated to helping you. Don't take that for granted either. Take that and share that with your friends, man. Bring a friend. Bring a friend next month. Make sure you bring two. Bring two friends. Once again, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, Demond. I don't know how much I talked about incarceration. I came in pretty unscripted, which is a little bit unusual, but I wanted to speak from my heart. I wanted to speak from my heart, man, because that's what this is about for me. I'm just really, really grateful that today I don't have to live like I used to live, and I have some experience under my belt that can hopefully lead some other people away from that path. Encourage them that, you know, they are worthy of a life worth living. And you know, you're at this place in your lives where there's going to be a lot of opportunities to make some bad decisions. You know what I mean? It's out there every day. But I can tell you, if you don't want that, don't do that. You know what I mean? Peer pressure strong, a lot of drugs, a lot of all that stuff. It's out there. They taught me one thing in early recovery, and I'll wrap up with this. They taught me play the tape all the way through. My story is I always ended up in a small room with another man for an extended period of time. That was always the end result for me. I'm here to let you know. The end result is always the same. Jails, institutions, and death. My name is Johnny. Thank you.